My name is Jihyo. I'm a co-founder and the CEO of FADU. So today I'd like to explain our strategy and our perspective on the SSD market going forward. Storage industry is in turbulence. There's so many reasons that we expect that the future storage industry is not the same as before. Most of all, the external factors are now really making an impact in the industry. As we know, the COVID-19 changed the entire IT industry dynamics. There's a huge demand for IT system is required, and so many companies are considering to adopt cloud, and there is also so many demands are coming in. So existing supply-demand dynamics would not be the same in the future. At the same time, with the introduction of the new workloads like AI, everyone starts thinking that long-lived Gen 3 is not enough. Now is the time to get that. So we will see PCIe Gen 4 will finally be arrived. At the same time, Gen 4, Gen 5 is not that far. That will make a lot of improvement of the system performance. So that will be the challenge for the existing SSD and storage system. In addition to that, we believe that the supply base for the China and US would be very different. So I think that two markets will be separated. Chinese companies would be harder to play in US. At the same time, the US companies will be difficulties in playing in China. So that makes two divided market and a two divided business model. So how to play in two different worlds is quite important in this industry. But that's not enough. Even inside the industry, we are seeing that there is a big changes. First of all, 2 weeks ago, SK Hynix announced that they are acquiring Intel SSD division. So it is a trigger of the entire market consolidation. I expect that in the next few years, we are seeing more consolidation of the industry. That will change a lot of dynamics of supplier side. At the same time, during the last 5 years, we've been hearing a lot of the required features from a lot of different customers. Everyone has their own idea. Because of the vision, nothing was clear. So too many noise means nothing. So even though there was a lot of argument that this kind of the new feature is required and that kind of the new form factor is required, but nothing happened. But now, I'm seeing that industry start understanding that new form factor unified, new feature unified is required. So I expect that in the near future, we are seeing there's a really consolidated and a unified form factor and the features. That is a really important thing. It's the kind of the real time to move to the new feature and form factor going forward. But as I said, during the last couple of years, the one reason why the market is not moving is because nothing was clear. But at the same time, I need to say, entire industry also lazy. They just kind of did not want to do anything. They just lay back to see what's coming. But because of the reason, customers are started frustrating. So they really push hard to move forward. So most important thing is migration to Gen 4. By far, Gen 3 has a long lead time. They lived much longer than market expected. But now is the time to change. Actually, data center can't wait anymore to upgrade. They worked with the legacy system for a long time, but to adopt a new increasing demand and the required new performance, they need to move forward. So I would like to say data center is really nervous to move forward. At the same time, Intel and AMD getting some traction to move to Gen 4. So what I expect is from next year, we are seeing real transition from Gen 3 to Gen 4 at the same time. Not in a long time, we will see the Gen 5 migration too. Every year, we need to increase the performance 2x every year. So that will make a lot of the challenges for SSD or storage companies. They need to catch up but during the last 5 years, they didn't make any improvement. So how they can change the pace, how they can kind of follow up that kind of the speed of changes, that will be the big challenges. Customers are identifying the global solution. Now, everyone knows that legacy form factor doesn't really meet emerging requirement. M.2 is too small and too hot to maintaining the better performance. At the same time, many companies are complaining about the fragmented feature and spec. At the same time, because of the reason, supplier has a good reason to wait and see. But now we are seeing the OCP, which is really important initiative in this industry. As a supplier, I'm really welcoming OCP because it will give us the clear guidance which one we need to develop, which kind of form factor we need to develop, which feature we need to focus on. So we are very happy to see OCP is coming, and the OCP will change the entire industry dynamics, and it will make a lot of the standardization of this industry. In demand side, I believe that the SSD market will dominate and will be more complex. So even for now, the majority of data in data center is stored in hard disk drive, not SSD. But with the decreasing price of the NAND, SSD will dominate. That will substitute the HDD entirely. So I believe that SSD will cover entire storage stacks from the low end to the high end. So probably the SSD market will be bipolarized. In high-end market, high performance is required. So where the generation of the CPU is changing from Gen 3 to Gen 4, Gen 4 to Gen 5, performance of SSD need to double up every single year. At the same time, not in the long future, with the introduction of the PCIe Gen5, CXL is coming. So probably next generation storage systems such as storage class memory will be introduced. At the same time, high performance SLC and MLC is coming. So in that case, probably some customers need really fast and really good performing SSD. Meanwhile, that is kind of traditional SSD market, and that will lead the high-end market of SSD segment. But in other hand, in the market which is occupied by hard disk drive will be migrated to the SSD. That will be very different market we didn't really see yet, but I believe that will be the really huge market because, as I said, majority of data is needed to fit into that market. With the introduction of the QLC and PLC, I believe that the price of the SSD will be really comparable to HDD. Then all data center know it's a time to substitute, because in terms of the TCO, I can say SSD can be cheaper than HDD. In that case, there is no reason to stay with HDD. So I believe that kind of the mass market will be opened up. That is a big opportunity for SSD companies and storage companies going forward. So in sum, there's two different segments, which is different from existing enterprise market. Both of them is really important, but it's somewhat challenging to cover both markets. So where do you need to focus on is quite important challenge for the data and SSD companies going forward. So in sum, I believe that SSD faces tougher challenges. In high-end market, as I said, how do we deliver 2x or 4x performance with improved QoS? With increasing demand for the performance of the system, not only increasing just performance, QoS is quite critical. How we can deliver lower latency than before, how we can manage that is really important challenges. And as far as I see, not really many SSD companies is ready to answer that question. At the same time, increasing performance means usually increasing power. Increasing power creates a lot of heat in the system. That is a big issue. So how we can handle increasing power to support 2x, 4x performance going forward, accompanying heat burden? How to solve that issue will be really big challenges for SSD companies going forward. At the same time, while there's a big technical challenges happening in high-end market, we need to keep up the market's new segment of the market, which is low-end, the HDD substituting SSD segment. How we can cover up while we are covering the high-end market? Probably low-end market need different type of the requirement. How we can catch up that both market? So it is really, really interesting time to figure out what is the answer. As one of the leading SSD solution companies, I'm really happy to answer about that question going forward. For us, it's a showtime. I'm really happy to be here. As I said, there's many challenges in SSD industry, but not really many companies are ready. That is the time to play for the few companies who is ready to provide a better solution. So that is our 3 strategies. In a high-end market, as I said, challenge is much bigger than before. You need to come up with a requirement. You need to increase your performance 2x every single year. How you can catch up? You need to change entire architecture of your solution. We need to deliver very next generation SSD. We are ready. So we would like to continue to launch the best lineup. So this year, we are launching the OCP 1.0 SSD. At the same time, we introduced the PCIe Gen4. At the same time, we are now preparing Gen 5, and it will have a lot of the new features, including CXL. So you will see, in our side, you can see SSD industry is really catching up the market demand, which means 2x performance every single year. At the same time, providing the better QoS with the better power efficiencies. That is the most important thing that we can provide to differentiate from other companies. We are ready to handling complexities. We need to support all complex demand, from data center M.2 to storage dual port U.2, as well as the U1.S from OCP. And there's a variance of the NAND. Some companies are trying to deliver the low latency SLC and MLC, while TLC is mainstream. But at the same time, some companies are arguing that QLC and the PLC is coming. How you can cover up that 5 different type of NAND? At the same time, there's 6 NAND companies now. So there's really 20 different type of NAND. How you can support that? That is a really important question for storage companies as well as end customer. So that is kind of thing that we are preparing. We would like to provide comprehensive feature support. Our SSD controller is ready for the GNS. It's a really hardware native. Also, we are the first SSD controller which can provide the IOD based on the hardware native. Even our Gen 3 controller already support SRIV and the multi-stream and the PMR and CND. Whatever customer ask the features, we are ready to provide. And particularly about OCP, we will be the first companies who can provide 100% compatible all required feature from OCP 1.0. That is kind of our readiness. So whatever market is being complex, I can support that. That is our value. We are prepared for the future. We are moving to the PCIe Gen5, and we would be the only single company who can provide true Gen 5 performance requirement with a superior QoS. We are now seriously developing the CXL, so it will open up a lot of opportunities for customers to realize the value of SSD going forward. We are developing some computational storage solutions, so you can see our next generation computational storage solution next year. We are really excited with OCP because it's really, really important milestone for entire SSD industry. During the last kind of 10 years, SSD was just mere copycat of HDD with a better performance. There is no difference. Form factor is the same, interface was the same, nothing much different. It's just slightly faster. But with the OCP, we are now seeing the true SSD, which was very different from HDD era. So we are excited about OCP, and we are the first company who can introduce fully OCP 1.0 compliant E1.S SSD. If you would like to apply the OCP, it's a really good time to look through our product. You can visit our webpage and you can check out what you are doing now. We are the real true Gen 3 and Gen 4, Gen 5 companies which can deliver the real product. By far, so many companies are arguing that they are delivering the Gen 3 product and that they are announcing the Gen 4 product. But you need to check the reality. Everyone knows that what is the required bandwidth of the Gen 3, what is the required bandwidth of Gen 4, what is the required of the Gen 5. And many people are arguing that there is a low latency SLC. But what is the low latency SLC? What is required? If low latency SLC is existing, SSD should deliver the low latency. Is there any product really meeting your expectation? I do not think so. You need to figure out whether it's a really true Gen 3 product and is a real Gen 4 product and is real low latency SLC SSD. We launched our Gen 3 product 2 years ago. Even though we launched our Gen 3 product 2 years ago, our SSD performed much better than most of the existing product in the market. As we know, in the Gen 3, 3.5 GB per sec is a bandwidth. You need to meet that requirement. If you cannot meet that, you cannot say that it's Gen 3 product. It's just kind of in between Gen 2 and Gen 3. If you can create 3.5 GB per sec, then you need to understand what should be the random read performance. If you divide that into 4, then it should be the 800K IOPS is required. That is matched with 3.5 GB per sec. But now, whenever I see the competitor spec, other companies spec, they barely meet the 500K. It's the same as 2 GB per sec. Is it real Gen 3 product? I do not think so. If you argue that it's a Gen 3 product, you should deliver 800K IOPS random read. That is a requirement for Gen 3. If not, you cannot say that it's true Gen 3 product. We are the only one company who can deliver true Gen 3 product. More importantly, that performance can be delivered less than 10 watt for all form factors. Many companies saying that we can deliver the performance in a U.2 consuming 25 watt. Wait, are you saying 25 watt? How does this drive consume 2 watt? Why do you need to spend 10x? I believe that in SSD, M.2 is a real form factor for SSD. E1.S is real form factor for SSD. For that, you need to maintain the low power consumption, allow them to perform. If you cannot make the performance in M.2 or E1.S, you cannot say you have the real Gen 3 SSD. That's what I would like to say. Let's move on to Gen 4. As we know, Gen 4 needs a 2x performance. Can you deliver that? It's quite simple. Just check out whether they can meet 7.0 GB per sec. The sequential read is the same as the bandwidth required for Gen 4. At the same time, if you can beat 7.0 GB per sec, your random read should be higher than 1650K IOPS. If not, that's not real 7.0 GB per sec. There's just few companies can deliver that. If you cannot deliver that, you cannot say you are true Gen 4. Your product is somewhere in between Gen 3 and Gen 4. Gen 3.2 or Gen 3.5 kind of. We are the only company which can deliver to Gen 4 SSD in terms of performance. More importantly, if you need to consume 2x power than Gen 3, then that doesn't work. In our case, we can perform everything less than 15 watt in all form factor. If you would like to have the M.2, then we can deliver that even in Gen 4. Let's move on to the low latency SLC. With the low latency SLC, it's a real Gen 4. even in the right performance. We can build the 7.0 gigabyte sequential read as well as sequential write. At the same time, in terms of the random write, we can meet 800K IOPS. And more importantly, in SSD level, we can meet 10 microsecond QD1 latency. After meeting that, you can say you have the low latency SLC SSD. If that is not that much different from your Gen 3 or Gen 4 TLC product, you cannot say you have the real low latency SLC product. More importantly, you don't need to have difficulties to handle power and heat. It's a time to explain our business model. We are not SSD brand company. We are SSD solution company. So we are working with customers. Customer means SSD company, NAND company, as well as set company and the data center company. We are ready to give the full freedom for you. You don't need to worry about which NAND you need to pick. We can support all existing NAND. If you would like to work with SK Hynix NAND, we can provide it. If you would like to use the SLC from Kioxia, we can provide a solution. As well as if you TLC and QLC from them, if you would like to use the Micron NAND, we can support that. So as you know, the Kioxia and the Western Digital share the fab, and the Micron and the Intel share the technology, which means whatever you need to use, we can provide your freedom to pick whatever NAND you can buy. In terms of the business model, as I said, if you are the SSD company, probably you need firmware and the controller. We can provide that for you. Then you can build your SSD and sell it with your brand. If you'd like to buy an end SSD product, which was fully tested from someone with white label, we are ready. We can build our own drive and we can validate everything what you need and provide fully done SSD. So you can just install your data center and run it. We will provide a better product, better flexibility, better freedom for you. So you don't need to worry about anything. Whatever you need to meet the future requirement in this fast changing world, we can deliver. If you'd like to see the detail, there's some more videos and some more the pitches from our sales VP and the marketing VP, so you can enjoy that. If you have any questions or you'd like to any detail, just visit our website and contact us through our website. Thank you very much.